Well, I'd say let's just fasten our seatbelts today and get ready, or rather ready ourselves for a ride into a positive future. So on that hugely positive note, I'm going to take the privilege of inviting our very eminent guests of honor who are gracing this occasion with their presence to begin today's inaugural session with the lighting of the lamp. We all know that in India, we always start with a prayer, and this time we're going to do it with the lighting of the lamp. We'll invoke the blessings of the God Almighty. So I'm going to request Shri Rajan Vadera, President CM, Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers, to kindly lead the lighting of the lamp. May I also invite Shri Ram Venkat Ramani, President, ACMA Automotive Component Manufacturers Association of India, Mr. James G. Wortman, CEO, Australian Automotive Dealer Association, Mr. Ashish Harshraj Kale, President, Federation of Automobile Dealers Associations, and may I invite at this juncture Mr. Vinkesh Gulati, Vice President, Mr. Manish Raj Singhania, Secretary, and Mr. C.S. Vigneshwar, Treasurer of FADA. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give the dignitaries a big round of applause. In India, when we light the lamp, we often chant the following shloka: Shubham Karoti Kalyanam, Arogyam Dhanasampada, Shatru Buddhi Vinashaya, Deepa Jyotir Namostute, which means, I pray to you, O light, the giver of abundance, prosperity, joy, and good health, and the destroyer of an inimical mind. With each wick being lit, let's give the dignitaries a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, once again. Thank you very much. The photographer is going to need a photo opportunity to capture this moment. Thank you, esteemed dignitaries, for lighting the lamp for the inaugural session of this second Auto Retail Conclave, Prosperity in Adversity. And with that, I'll hold back Shri Rajan Vadera, Shri Ram Venkat Ramani on stage, Mr. James Wortman. May I request Mr. Ashish Kale, Mr. Vinkesh Gulati to kindly stay back on stage. And please adorn the dais at this juncture. So, ladies and gentlemen, seated on the dais, we have our guests of honor, Shri Rajan Vadera, President CM, Shri Ram Venkat Ramani, President ACMA. We have Mr. James G. Wortman, CEO, Australian Automotive Dealer Association, Mr. Ashish Harshraj Kale, President FADA, Mr. Vinkesh Gulati, Vice President FADA, Federation of Automobile Dealers Associations. Request you to please take seats. And of course, traditionally in India, we also begin by felicitating the presence of the guests. So I'm going to request Mr. Ashish Harshraj Kale, President FADA, to first welcome our guest of honor, Shri Rajan Vadera, President CM, with a bouquet of flowers, a floral mark of honor. A round of applause to go with that, ladies and gentlemen. May I invite, in fact, request Mr. Vinkesh Gulati, Vice President FADA, to please welcome Shri Ram Venkat Ramani, President ACMA. Can we please have a huge round of applause as we welcome him? And I'd like to invite Mr. Manish Raj Singhania, Secretary FADA, to kindly join us on stage and welcome in our midst Mr. James G. Wortman, CEO, Australian Automotive Dealer Association. Can we please have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you very much for doing the honors, and a warm welcome to the esteemed guests of honor once again. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll take the privilege of introducing very briefly our very dynamic president seated on the dais, Mr. Ashish Harshraj Kale, President FADA, and also MD of Provincial Automobile Company. Now, Shri Ashish Harshraj Kale is the MD, Provincial Automobile Nagpur, and has a complete range of dealership of M&M, both for its auto and farm equipment division. He also operates multiple franchisees of Mahindra First Choice Wheels. He also has dealerships of Bharat-Benz trucks and buses and Nissan India. And Shri Ashish Harshraj Kale is the president of Vidarbha Automobile Dealers Association since 2012. He is the member of social organizations and clubs in Nagpur. And so once again, I'd request you to please extend a hand as I request him to deliver the welcome address, our very charismatic leader, Mr. Ashish Harshraj Kale.
Good afternoon to all dignitaries, guests, and all our members who have come from all across the country for our today's AGM, which was held in the first half, and the second auto retail conclave. On behalf of Federation of Automobile Dealers Association, I would like to welcome our guests of honor, Sri Rajan Vadera, President SIAM, Sri Ram Venkatramani, President ACMA, and Sri James Wortman, CEO of the Australian Automobile Dealers Association. It is our privilege that our second auto retail conclave is being inaugurated with the presence of the entire ecosystem of the auto industry on the dais, ACMA and SIAM, and we the dealers as FADA, sorry. And not just Indian auto representation, but we have international representation too in Mr. James Wortman from the Australian Dealer Association. It is really unfortunate that Sri Nitinji Gadkari could not come to our event today due to his health not being okay. It would have been an honor welcoming Nitinji, a personal honor for me, as I would have welcomed him here in Delhi, not just as the Minister of Transport and MSME, but I would have welcomed him as a well-wisher of our family, a Nagpurian, our Member of Parliament from Nagpur, and our country's most visionary and one of the tallest leaders. The first auto retail conclave in Nagpur was inaugurated by him, in which I took charge as president, and it would have been an honor for me if he would have been here today to bless me as I take charge in my second term. I would still like to speak about Nitinji and his work. Maharashtra witnessed an automobile boom during his tenure as the state's PWD minister. There are many famous achievements to his name, like the Mumbai-Pune Expressway and the many flyovers of Mumbai. But for us, his most important achievement, which is to the importance of the automobile dealer community, was connecting 90% of towns and villages with all-weather motorable road way back in the 90s for the entire state. Many dealers sitting here in the audience have Mr. Gadkari to thank for getting into the auto dealership business. His tenure as the PWD Minister of Maharashtra in the period of 94 to 99 saw complete connectivity of the state, and with that connectivity came automobile sales growth. Along with automobile sales growth came auto dealership growth. And there are many who from the rural parts of Maharashtra got into the automobile trade due to that growth. As the Highways and Transport Minister of the country in the past 5 years, and continuing in his second term now, he has replicated what he did in Maharashtra. And today you see highways and roads being built at a speed never before seen in our country, and to areas which have never seen connectivity. Such is the impact of one person's dedication to his work and ensuring implementation of the government's vision that despite the current slowdown that the auto industry faces, the northeastern states of the country continue to grow in sales, which have seen huge development in highway construction. We have dealers here today from Assam, Manipur, Nagaland, Sikkim, who will definitely vouch for that. We look forward for the same speed of growth in highway construction from his ministry and look forward to more such connectivity, helping fuel the mobility needs of many more parts of our country. 15 years back, when alternate fuels was not an important topic in India, Shri Nitin Gadkari was a strong advocate of alternate fuels to reduce dependency on oil imports and same foreign exchange, as well as to supplement farm income. I remember one of his comments a few years back when he was president of the BJP, and at the inauguration of one of our showrooms, he had commented, "The day our party is in the government, I will ensure that alternate fuel is taken up very strongly, and we will save majorly on the lakhs of crores of fuel imports that our country does and be self-reliant in our energy needs." He had also commented back then that "Jo main bolta hu, wo karke dikhata hu." Probably not many believed him back then, but today this vision of Nitinji is driving the agenda of the government as India makes huge strides in going towards implementation of ethanol, biofuel, CNG production, and other biofuels through agriculture produce, ultimately leading to electric vehicles in the future. But his comment back then of doing what he says, and which is true, has me worried today. He very recently commented in one of the programs in Nagpur that I would like to see no diesel being sold in the next 3 to 5 years in Nagpur and its adjoining 5 districts and replaced by alternate fuels. Exactly the same districts where our dealerships sell diesel vehicles. But I would like to mention here that dealer community is not afraid of change. The dealer community is not afraid of change that will happen in the mobility solutions of our nation. We will wholeheartedly adapt to the change and support the vision of our government in becoming a self-reliant and stronger nation. In fact, today the auto industry and the dealers are in the process of one of the fastest transitions from BS4 to BS6 in 3 years, which most countries have done in 8+ years. And I'm sure that any new regulation that is required for the good of the country will be adapted by the auto industry even in the future, and dealers will be a part of that process and will always be supportive of implementing the same. Our recent concern was only on the clarity of policy, especially in the recent challenging times, where the customer was in a confused state of mind due to these changes and delaying his purchase. We are extremely thankful to the Honorable Prime Minister and to Shri Nitin Gadkari for having given such a strong statement which has completely settled the issue with regards to internal combustion engine vehicles and EVs. And also, after that, by the Finance Minister on the continuity of BS4 vehicles for their registration lifetime. This has put to rest any confusion regarding the roadmap for our industry into the future. We would also like to thank Shri Nitinji for his relentless efforts in ensuring the passing of the CMVR Act, which will go a long way in reducing the number of accidents and ensuring road safety for the citizens, a topic which is very close to his heart. It will also bring a lot of transparency in the overall registration process of automobiles, especially at the RTO levels, and will also lead to huge saving in fuel costs and other resources for our country. It's an honor for FADA that the unveiling of the new CMVR Act will be done today at our inaugural by the entire value chain of the auto industry, the Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers, the Auto Components Manufacturers Association, and the Dealer Association, FADA, who together are probably for the first time on stage. FADA will soon be rolling out regional seminars in association with the Ministry of Transport and state transport departments for educating our members for a smooth rollout of the same. Friends, today business environment in our country is going through a huge transition as our country marches towards becoming one of the leading economies as well as the leading auto markets of the world. There will be new regulation and policies as the government prepares itself to be a global leader, not just economically, but also as one of the largest automobile markets. We believe that FADA has a very important role to play in the days ahead to implement the vision of our government and engage during important policy discussions for a smooth implementation of those visions. Today, FADA is a huge business community representing the aspirations of 15,000 plus dealerships, operating from 25,000 plus setups and employing a direct workforce of 25 lakh and an indirect employment of close to 15 lakh more. The dealership community is one of the highest employment generators, and we are providing that employment without displacing him from his home and giving employment in his village, town, or city. No matter the technology that our country adopts for its mobility needs in the future, in a complex and diverse country like ours, the dealers will continue to be an important part of the auto value chain. Yes, with changing technologies, our business model will change and will become dynamic. The kind of physical infrastructure that is the need of today may not be required tomorrow. But in a country where 2.4 crore two-wheelers and 30 lakh passenger vehicles were sold last year, and despite that, the penetration of passenger vehicle remains at 22 per thousand, with a population of 130 crore people, the geographical reach, the financial strength, and the serviceability through its huge employee base that an automobile dealer provides cannot be replicated. If the growth targets taken under the Automotive Mission Plan 2026 are achieved, the auto sector will be growing at a very good pace in the next few years. And in the process will generate billions of new jobs in the next few years, and a majority of which be at auto dealerships. I know today, amidst the gloom scenario currently prevalent in the auto industry, talking of such numbers seems very optimistic, but the dealer community is a realistic yet optimistic community, and we believe that we will soon overcome the challenges that we are currently facing. We are in a long-term business which has supported generations of automobile dealers and will continue to do so. In a developing country like ours, which aims for global leadership, People will have mobility needs as the infrastructure goes and as their aspirations grow. The automobile industry is today best suited to deliver on these mobility needs, and auto dealers, the channels to deliver them. If you look at the Lehman crisis in the US back in 2008-2009, there were bigger issues that auto dealers faced then, and many dealers in the US faced closures. That crisis taught many lessons to the National Automobile Dealers Association, which is the Association of American Dealers. And the dealers in the US, through those learnings that they had during that difficult period, recovered strongly and have grown from strength to strength. Later in the session, we have Mr. Charlie Gilchrist, the current president of NADA, which is the National Automobile Dealers Association, addressing us through a video message on these challenges that they faced and how they overcame them. He could not be here due to a personal preoccupation at our event. The current slowdown that the industry faces is a temporary one, and with the complete support from the government, we will soon come out of it, and we'll be into growth soon. But taking a lesson from NADA, FADA would like to advocate our dealers and to the industry issues which will ensure that despite the cyclical ups and downs of business of our dealerships, the business itself remains strong and continues to prosper and play their part in nation building by generating more employment in their growth. The Auto Retail Conclave today will deliberate on many such issues and the best way of implementing them for the betterment and strengthening of the dealer community, and in turn, resulting in a stronger auto industry in India. With the support from MORTH, we have been able to bring transparency in vehicle registrations happening across the segment and across various states, giving a clearer picture of the retail sales situation. FADA will continue bringing in further detailing of the retail sales and would also be requesting the complete auto industry to move to market share calculation by way of registrations, a norm followed internationally and a much needed change for the betterment of the industry. Last year at the ARC, we had taken a pledge to generate 1 lakh jobs in support of the Prime Minister's vision of employment generation. But I would like to say that we have failed as an association in doing so. In fact, due to the challenges that the dealer community has been facing in the past 10 months, we have had to cut down on some jobs which we had taken last year in anticipation of growth. The recent support from the government that the auto industry and especially the auto dealer community has received, and more such measures being planned if required, we are quite confident that we will overcome our difficulties and return to growth very soon. The current slowdown that we see in our business, FADA was the first to announce it and sound out a warning way back in November 2018. And we are quite confident that it will again be the dealer community which will be the first to announce a turnaround in sales and a positive consumer sentiment very soon. I'm quite confident that before I complete my tenure as president in September 2020, we will be announcing the good news of not only having restored all the jobs, but a reasonably healthy addition of jobs by the dealer community. In conclusion, I would like to once again thank Mr. Rajan Vadera, Mr. Ram Venkatramani, Mr. Wootman for honoring and gracing this occasion with their presence, especially Mr. Wootman, because AADA, the Australian Dealer Association, is having their annual conclave next week. Despite that, he has traveled all the way to India for 1 day. We thank you for that. I thank all my friends in FADA who have reaffirmed their trust in me to lead our association as their president once again. My father taught me many things about business and life, but one of his main advice was live life honestly and fearlessly. That is how I have led FADA in the past 1 year, and that is how I will lead it in this year too. I am truly lucky that I start my second term here today with the blessings of Lord Ganesh, seniors from the auto industry, all my dealer friends, my family, my uncle, and most importantly, despite his physical presence not being here, with the blessings of Nitinji, who I know will always be there as a support. He has conveyed his regret, and I'm sure that the support that FADA gets from him will continue even in the future. Being a Maharashtrian, and like every Maharashtrian, Ganpati is my favorite festival, although today Ganesh festival has become a universal festival. So before I end my speech, I'll request all of you to join me in saying, Ganpati Bappa. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for being here today and blessing us with your presence. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much indeed, sir, not only for setting the context for the second auto retail conclave, but for that very pragmatic, honest address, leaving us extremely emboldened. Thank you so much once again. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll take the privilege of introducing Sri Rajan Vadera to you before I request him to address you. Sri Rajan Vadera, President CM, ladies and gentlemen, the President of Automotive Sector of Mahindra and Mahindra as well. He's a member of the Group Executive Board, and he's the President, Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers, CM, and Chairman, Confederation of Indian Industry, CII, National Committee on Technology and R&D. Sri Rajan Vadera is a B.Tech and M.Tech from IIT Bombay and a graduate of the Advanced Management Program from the Wharton Business School, United States of America. He comes armed with over 38 years of diverse experience in various facets of automotive as well as farm equipment sector like research and development, technology, and sourcing and operations. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our eminent guest of honor, Sri Rajan Vadera.
Mr. Ashish Kale, President, Federation of Automotive Dealers Association, Ram Venkatmani, President ACMA, Mr. James, CEO, Australian Automotive Dealer Association, Vinkesh, my colleagues from Automotive Fraternity, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you all. Today, we are missing the charm and the aggression of Shri Gadkari ji, which actually always inspires me to perspire. But ultimately, it is good for the country, and we all don't mind going through that perspiration because it helps the nation. Friends, I'm very happy to be speaking to you all at the second Auto Retail Conclave, and it's a pleasure to be part of this event and interact with you all and the association and the members. I have great appreciation for your contribution as a cohesive ecosystem of automotive entrepreneurs because you provide employment to lakhs and lakhs of people across the country. And for that, you deserve a big round of applause. Please applaud yourselves. You are employment generators in a very big way, and it's a multiplication factor. For every one employee that we recruit, you recruit a multiple of that. As we address the economy, we are at the slowest pace, in the last 25 quarters. And we have a growth of 5% in this quarter. Growth in private consumption expenditure, which is also a very important indicator of demand in the country, has slumped to 3.1% in quarter one from an average of 8.1% in the last 4 quarters. And this slump, of course, is largely on account of manufacturing, which grew by a very meager 0.6% in last quarter. Indeed, a source of big worry. And consequently, auto industry, as we all see, in the past 8 months, has witnessed a continuous degrowth, and August being the worst with 30%. You are all impacted by this slowdown, and all these falling sales have resulted in very high inventory levels, and the capital required for running business has increased on account of both the product price going up and the implementation of GST. So all these lower liquidity levels are resulting in higher cost of funds and adversely impacting the profitability and the viability of many of the dealers. So friends, the road ahead for the rest of the year is also looking difficult because there is a huge challenge of migration from BS4 to BS6, which is awaiting us. Frankly speaking, this VUCA world is a very difficult state of doing the business. But it actually is the new norm today. And while we are dealing with the slowdown and the BS6 transition that I talked of, very soon, few years from now, we'll have to actually be prepared to deal with what we call it as the future mobility, which is all about the electric mobility, the connected mobility, and the autonomous mobility. So is there a panacea for this, for being prosperous in this adversity? I don't think there is one. But actually, the solution, they say, lies in looking at the chaos and turning the chaos into an opportunity. So, as you would all notice, the market, the landscape is getting redefined. There is all kind of connectivity challenges coming, the Internet of Things there. And you would notice that most of the consumer are beginning their shopping journey online, and they expect this online continuity to remain across the channel, not just at the time of buying. So friends, at one end, this means dealers and OEMs need to collaborate to provide this seamless brand experience. On the other end, it also gives us an opportunity to innovate, with smaller formats to bring down our costs associated with the business. So this omnipresent connectivity, which is the new norm, will shape the customer expectation on account of complete exposure that he has, not just to this industry, but even other industries, which will become a part of the entire auto ecosystem. This is definitely going to result in financial stress and will make all your workshops very capital intensive to deal with this new mobility requirements. So after the products, it's going to be our workshops which have to adopt very, very modular designs, agile methodologies, and very, very high-end learning and delivery acumen. This will help us to increase our flexibility, reduce cost, improve consistency in service, and reduce the time to market for newer offerings. And this is what I call it as a digital transformation, which is looming large in our face. And I'm sure you have started work towards that. And this is going to be the new norm. Similarly, the management control system for operating dealerships is getting evolved and will evolve very fast. You will have to focus on what we say lead indicators, online leads, sales funnel, forecast and inventory levels. Salesforce automation can drive operational efficiencies and reduce overheads. You need to empower the sales staff and also increase transparency so that the overall friction goes down in the system and improves the sales processes for your better effectiveness. Sales forecasting and operational efficiency has become important on account of this upcoming BS4 to BS6 transition. Some of you may see this as a business challenge, but at the same time, it's also an opportunity to relook at the stocks the way we look at. And at this juncture, OEMs need to support the dealers in managing this transition. While the dealers would be managing the front end, OEMs need to ensure that there should neither be a loss of sales on account of this unavailability, nor inventory build-up or the write-offs, which will create more hardships for the dealers. So they'll have to rotate the capital faster and ensure profitability in these critical times. While the profitability on new car sales has declined, market has also opened newer business avenues. This is like the parts and service, used car business, financing and insurance, and other value-added products that are coming in and that will come with the future of mobility. BS6 is a very, very significant technical upgrade. I have gone on record many times to say that in my 38 years of experience and the last 15 years where I've been very deeply involved with technology and product development, this is the biggest challenge being faced by us, consequent to both two new technologies coming in the vehicle the particulate filter technology and the NOx trap and the selective catalytic reduction technology with the OBD monitoring, the lib home modes, and you name all these things to be done in a span of 3 years across all the models and have defect-free products is a huge, huge challenge. And then I think on an average OEM is spending about 1,000 crores to upgrade their product portfolio, and it's a very, very big challenge. And this is also going to offer you more touch points as a consequence of the technology that is packed in the product. It would require a different kind of knowledge upgrade to handle, but it will give you newer revenue streams. It will improve your profitability, and it'll be a way to improve the viability of the dealerships. Another important resource that we all should be mindful of in an organization is the people. People are the foundation, and change in their mindsets and capabilities requires rigorous performance management of people. We have to invest in people and train them. So this investment is the cornerstone for any business change, and a business is going through very, very difficult change in the upgrade to the technology to BS6. And without upgrading our people, we will not be able to justify the investments that will go into our showrooms. Lastly, I think good dealers stay committed to the brand and in good and bad times, because changing brands is very disruptive, and as the technology moves up and people become brand specific, changing brands, as I said, is a very difficult proposition because it takes time for people to grow and have the affinity towards a brand, understand the customer profile, deliver on the expectations. It also takes time for people to understand what a brand delivers, the systems, the product knowledge, and hence changing brand is a very big business risk. So the auto dealerships of the future should be built to last at least for the next 2 generations. And I think the fundamentals on which, to my mind, these can be built is the fundamental of trust, transparency. It may happen that the dealerships will become so-called unicorn startups, which will offer good opportunities to a PE investor or even for a public listing. The economic revival of growth is possible as we are all struggling with the slowdown. And Honorable Finance Minister Madam Nirmala Sitharaman has taken some good steps on the 23rd of August 2019. While the early consumption and the investment data for July is nothing that we can really cheer about, the center's fiscal data for the month shows actually a sharp uptick in the spending. And this fiscal spending is likely to resume in the months ahead. And hopefully this will get aided by the 1.8 trillion transfer of funds from RBI. So we are very hopeful that after we have had this very subdued 4 to 5 months, owing to general election and the general sentiments being down, we are hopeful that there should be a momentum coming slowly. Because I think monsoons have been good, barring a few flooding. Generally, the positivity of the festival season should bring back actually the much more needed enthusiasm and the growth that we are all looking at. On behalf of SIAM, I would like to thank the Government of India for actually addressing many of our difficulties of the automotive industry within just 2 weeks of hearing us when we had a consultation with them with the industry. And we actually really want to see the impact of all those announcements coming in this month. The automotive industry stands very strongly committed behind the government's mission to reach a 5 trillion economy. But this 5 trillion economy needs a CAGR where I think we cannot do it with less than 15% CAGR. And that is something that we haven't seen for almost, I think, a decade. And going forward, this is the kind of hard work, growth, and opportunity that has to come our way in our responsibility to build the nation to a 5 trillion economy. And SIAM will partner the government in our endeavor to build this nation responsibly. Friends, I have this words of wisdom that I gathered some time back, which said, if good days don't remain, bad days will also not remain. So friends, with that, I wish you all a very happy and prosperous festive season and a very happy selling. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, sir, for that enormously insightful address. With trust, transparency, and synergy, we need to march forward in this redefined landscape. Thank you so much, sir, once again. With that, ladies and gentlemen, let me take the privilege of introducing Sri Ram Venkatramani, President ACMA, currently the Director of the Amalgamations Group Component Division, a leading light engineering conglomerate servicing the automotive industry. As a third-generation family member, he serves on the board of the $2.4 billion Amalgamations Group, who are involved in the manufacture of tractors, diesel engines, and auto components. A mechanical engineer from the UK and an MBA from the University of Chicago. His achievements include negotiating JV agreements and setting up greenfield projects. Ladies and gentlemen, Sri Venkatramani currently serves as the president of ACMA and has been a part of the executive committee since 2011. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our esteemed guest of honor, Sri Ram Venkatramani, to address all of us. Welcome, sir.
Mr. Ashish Kale, President FADA, Mr. Rajan Vadera, President SIAM, Mr. James Wootman, CEO ADA, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you all for inviting me here today. It's an absolute honor. Ashish, hearty congratulations to you on completing a very successful term as the President of FADA. I understand that this morning at the FADA AGM, it's been aptly decided to extend your term by another year. I wish you a successful second term. Certainly looks like it's going to be an interesting time for you in the year to come. It's heartening to also note that FADA today has emerged as a strong and effective voice of the vehicle dealer community. The everyday newsletter and frequent communications is something that's to be emulated by all associations. I must add that we in ACMA find the retail numbers you publish very useful and helps tremendously with our planning process. I also want to thank FADA and Ashish in particular for the camaraderie that you have displayed in standing shoulder to shoulder with SIAM and ACMA in taking up the challenges that we as an industry are facing today. The recent announcements by the Honorable Finance Minister, and I think Mr. Vadera alluded to that earlier as well, and the continued efforts by the Government of India to revive sentiment in the market augurs well for all of us. Under the leadership of our customers, represented here by Sri Rajan Vadera, the President of SIAM, and the work being done by members of the automotive value chain, be it component makers right through up to vehicle dealers, we are confident that we will, of course, in the short term, be able to effectively dilute our BS4 inventories and in the medium to long term emerge as a more successful and stronger industry, enjoying the growth potential that India has to offer. Shri Gadkari ji, who unfortunately couldn't be with us today, has been one of the senior voices in the government who has given us clarifications with regards to the future of mobility. And we in the component industry, as all of us in the automotive value chain, are encouraged by these announcements and gives us all confidence on the way forward. We also obviously eagerly await the announcement of the vehicle scrappage policy as also a direction for recycling end-of-life vehicles and its components. Congratulations are also due to the Ministry of Road Transport for passing the Motor Vehicle Bill. I think this was passed unanimously by both houses of Parliament. And with the measures enshrined in the Act, I'm sure the menace of road accidents and better compliance to road safety norms would occur. ACMA, I would like to mention, is working closely with the Ministry of Road Transport for mandating of standards for components sold in the aftermarket, and this will further improve vehicle safety as also helping to curb counterfeiting. Ladies and gentlemen, I think Ashish as well as Mr. Vadera alluded to the disruptions happening in the automotive industry. These are obviously very significant. As consumers, we watch with awe and admiration the changes happening in automotive retail. Our relationship with our personal transport is changing more than ever before, and you, gentlemen, in FADA are at the forefront of this change. As component makers, we really look forward to an opportunity to participate more proactively in this space, since, as you might be aware, almost 18% of the revenues from our membership is derived from the automotive aftermarket. The component industry has just released its figures for 2018-19. We did show a growth and registered a sales turnover of $57 billion, with exports registering a turnover of $15.16 billion and the aftermarket contributing almost $10 billion. However, as you are aware, we are facing challenging times almost since the second half of 2018-19, and therefore we expect 19-20 to show a subdued performance. I do hope that with a positive message from the Finance Ministry on infusion of liquidity, the changing willingness of bankers to lend, additional measures such as deferring registration charges on new vehicles will all help in the revival of vehicle sales. Our hopes are pinned on the performance of all of you in the auto dealerships, as you have a direct reach to end customers. I therefore wish you all success, and I wish FADA's second auto retail conclave a great success. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much indeed, sir, for that very heartening and inspiring address. Thank you for an address that rekindles hope. Thank you so much once again. Now, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Australian Automotive Dealer Association, I'm going to be inviting from the audience Mr. Patrick Tessier, the Convention Director, Automotive Dealer Association of Australia. So I'm going to request him, but before requesting him to come, let me take a moment to introduce him briefly. Mr. Patrick's experience in the automotive sector is second to none, with a wide-ranging knowledge that extends from the dealership floor to the advertising and marketing world, and with a career encompassing all aspects of dealer operations, advertising, marketing, and event management. The depth and breadth of his automotive expertise is unparalleled in Australia, and we'll get this opportunity to hear him. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Patrick Tessier. Warm welcome, sir.
How do I change the slides? Oh, well, there's that. Well, good afternoon, evening, or morning. I'm not quite sure what time it is, but it's very nice to be here. So, as we like to say in Australia, g'day. It's a lovely time. Let me say, Ashish, thank you very much for having James and I. It's a great pleasure to be here, and we're thrilled to be a part of today's program. One of the great things, of course, about India, and no doubt you all know this, it's a very exciting time for the development of your industry. And of course, your key to success was your membership, and that's the very important part. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our market, and I'm going to keep my remarks very brief. So, there we go. No, that's the wrong one. We just get the presentation right, that's the wrong one. Look, while they're finding that, I'll tell you that in 1985, the Australian Automobile Dealers Association was born, and it was a part of a peak body representing all the motor trades in Australia. It covered everything auto, regardless of what industry you're in, the Motor Trades Association of Australia. And of course, the the Dealer Association was one industry sector part of that for all of the new car dealers. But in 2013, the dealers felt that they had an argument with the rest of the peak body in the sense that that peak body didn't represent only the interests of dealers, it represented all other industries, so there was a high level of conflict. And of course, out of conflict, there is a lot of argument and a lot of unnecessary angst. So in 2013, the dealers of Australia decided they'd take their own association back from the Motor Trades Association and of course do it themselves. So in 2013, the Australian Automotive Dealer Association was born, and of course it's been a very interesting journey since then. I think you all know that relevance is a long journey, and good advocacy takes commitment. And of course that is one of the most important parts about what dealer associations around the world do. Of course, our challenges taking over an association that didn't have a specific membership back then was how do we fund a rebirthed Australian Automotive Dealer Association. And of course the membership fee system is a challenge one because a lot of these dealers would be members of their state motor trades association, and of course from their perspective how do they become, what is the relevance for them to be a member of the dealer association. And at that time we canvassed the membership, and what we came up with was a fee per car was established. So all the dealers of course in Australia commit a sum of money per car, every car that they retail, and it's a very fair system because if a dealer sells 100 cars, he only pays 100 times the fee. If a dealer sells 1,000 cars a year, they pay 1,000 times the fee. So it was very, very fair, and it's been in operation for 5 years and be very effective. And of course, an absolute must was to establish a secretariat in Canberra. And of course, if you're not in Canberra in Australia, you can't influence the lawmakers. And of course, if you can't influence the lawmakers, you can't make change. And part of that change was also the creation of the National Dealer Councils, bringing them together, all those brand National Dealer Councils, and creating what we called, and we still call to this very day, the Australian Motor Dealer Council. And what that does is gives our association invaluable feedback from the coalface. Our policy focus, which James will talk much more in depth about in his presentation, was number one, a relationship or an automotive code of conduct between the franchise, the OEM, and of course the dealer. Now, the current arrangements in Australia are that we have a franchise code that governs all franchises. And of course our argument's a very simple one, that the investment required to be a motor dealer is very, very different to the investment required to have in a 7-Eleven. So that's our, and James will talk very much about this when we go on. And of course, affordability of new cars was another big thing for us, and one of our strong arguments with government is that it just seems that motor dealers, OEMs, and the car itself is an easy item to tax because we are reliable, effective tax collectors for the government. And I note that, we spoke about the emissions policy. Every country is unique. Every country has its own challenges with today's emissions policies and what will change, and that is a key focus of ours. And of course, a safer vehicle fleet. So in 2013, there was a strong commitment from our government to allow the import of used cars, of which we fought against. So we can tell you that today Australia has no imported used cars. We don't bring them into the country. We believe it's a better outcome for consumers. We believe it's a better outcome for dealers, and we believe it's a better outcome for our partners, the OEMs. And of course, finance. 80% or 90% of Australians who buy a car have to finance it, and I'm sure that's no different here. So it was very important for us to be able to make certain that dealers offered a convenient car finance program, and of course that is an area of our business that has been under very significant challenge in the last couple of years. but it's a very important part of the income model for all of the dealers. I was going to show you a graph, but I'll just quickly talk about the things on the graph compared to India and Australia. You know, your car park, or if you like, the amount of cars you have in the country, sitting on the roads, people driving, is about 30 million. Australia have about 14.5 million. Passenger car sales every year here is about 3.37 million. We sell 1 million. Your annual car production is about 4 million units. We don't make a car. Our country is fully imported nowadays. We used to have, of course, a number of manufacturers there, but they're no longer there. So we are a country that is solely importing new cars for the sale. In two-wheeler sales, motorbikes, you sell 20 million, we sell 95,000. So we're a car nation. We haven't got ourselves on the back of a motorbike too much. And in three-wheelers, it's a strange thing for us. You sell 600,000, we sell 0. I think if you get anything out of my quick remarks today, is the important takeouts from us is that dealer associations should develop common sense policy for its dealer members. One of the key things for a dealer association is to continually combat dealer apathy. It's very easy for your members just to think you'll keep doing the job and not be a part of what you need them to be a part of. You've got to combat that. You've got to keep combating it. Be highly visible. Make certain that they see what you are doing, how you are doing it, and what the benefit is for them. And more importantly than all I've just said, make certain you come down under and visit Australia. We'd love to see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderfully optimistic address. And now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, we have a video message. We heard from Mr. Ashish Kale that Mr. Charlie Gilchrist was going to be here through a video message. So the promise is going to be delivered now. But let me introduce you the National Automobile Dealers Association. So what FADA is to India, NADA, which is National Automobile Dealers Association, is to the United States. It's one of the most active associations over 100 years, been over 100 years in existence. In fact, just 2 years ago, they celebrated their centenary. And FADA has been working, has a working collaboration with NADA on all themes of common interest, including the FADA Academy. Now, the current chairman, Mr. Charles, Mr. Charles W., popularly known as Mr. Charlie Gilchrist, is 2019 chairman of the National Automobile Dealers Association and represents Northern Texas's franchised new car dealers on the board of directors. He's president of Gilchrist Automotive, which started with Southwest Ford in 1986 and now encompasses 10 individual new vehicle franchise dealerships in the greater Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. He couldn't be here, like we heard, due to a personal preoccupation, but has been kind enough to send us a video message, which is very, very relevant to the current situation. So let's take a look at that.
I'm Charlie Gilchrist, Chairman of the National Automobile Dealers Association in the United States. No matter what language we speak, we understand the dialect that is the automobile industry. It's no secret that everyone is talking about the future of the auto industry and the future of personal car ownership, not just in the United States, but around the world. Technology is changing cars. We're getting better fuel economy. We have safety features and driver assistance systems that are doing more to protect our customers. And everyone is talking about the rise of the autonomous vehicles and electrification and how that will affect consumer demand. The only certainty in the auto industry is change. But one thing that won't change is that to be successful, every dealer must build strong customer relationships and deliver great customer experience. No matter how technology evolves, this is a people business at the core, and that will never change. Customers prefer the in-person experience that dealers can provide. Even technology can't change that. Every automotive market experiences challenges at some point. The U.S. experienced the Great Recession about 10 years ago, and 2 of the biggest manufacturers were on the verge of collapse, and thousands of dealers were at risk. Hundreds of dealership doors closed, and thousands of employees lost their jobs. But that's when the industry came together the most. When challenges arise, We rely on our dealer association to assist dealers to make the case that we are an important economic driver for the communities we serve. We cannot be naive to the unpredictable business cycles and the fact that they do occur. Here's another aspect that won't change. When difficulties arise, NADA and FADA will stand by our membership and ensure that our collective interests are protected with our manufacturer partners. And when challenges pop up to the dealer franchise system, NADA has been on the front lines to preserve, protect, and defend one of the most powerful economic engines in the country, the franchised automobile dealership. There's an important foundation that all successful dealers must build, and this is my advice after more than 30 years in this business. Maintain great customer relationships at the point of sale and for a lifetime. Hire and retain well-trained employees and skilled technicians for the long term. Build lines of communications with your manufacturers. And lean on your association, especially during the tough times. We've weathered many economic downturns, especially since the recession. Today, U.S. dealers are poised to sell close to 17 million new vehicles for 2019, despite disruption to the dealer model. And across the globe, 80 million vehicles were sold last year. That's the greatest number in history. And most of those were sold by the local auto dealer. Believe in the longevity of this business. Believe in the prosperity that this industry brings. And the proof is in our numbers. FADA members, always rely on your association to advocate for you, especially with the government. Rely on FADA to help you get through the ups and downs of the market and to rally your dealers together when it's needed. But members are the key. You are the force that drives your agenda and missions. I remember when the U.S. economy began to swing upwards again. It was because the dealer community held many conversations. We built relationships more than ever. We helped to educate our lawmakers on what policies harm our businesses and our customers. We were united with manufacturers on a common interest, not just to survive, but to thrive. And today, dealers are engaged so we can adapt to the technological evolution in our industry. Our work is not easy. A national association is the lifeline that connects thousands of dealer members, and you must remain active and engaged so that you can help shape the future of your business. A lot of that work starts with a strong advocacy and making sure lawmakers understand who we are and what we do. NADA is lucky to have an amazing grassroots presence and thousands of dealer members under its umbrella.
I'm the president of the National Automobile Dealers Association.
Seeing and hearing from other industry leaders throughout the world reminds us that the auto industry is a global community. You are not alone. And NADA welcomes the opportunity to work with you in the future and discuss our challenges and goals. Dealers are cut from the same cloth, no matter where we're from. We're resilient, we're adaptive, and we're a shining example of the strength of an entrepreneur. I commend the work that FADA India does on behalf of its dealers. And always remember, we can always learn something from each other despite our distance. And together we will shape the future of our industry. NADA wishes you the best for the future.
Thank you very much to Mr. Gilchrist and for his message there. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time in the inaugural address when we're going to be witnessing the unveiling. And this is going to be a joint unveiling by the auto industry present here. All three presidents seated on the dais are going to do it together with the Executive Council of FADA. So I'm going to be inviting at this juncture the EC, the Executive Committee, if I can call on stage Mr. Manish Raj Singhania, Secretary FADA, Mr. C.S. Vigneshwar, Treasurer FADA, and Mr. John K. Paul, immediate past President FADA, Mr. K.V.S. Prakash Rao, past President FADA, and Mr. Nikunj Sanghi, past President FADA, please. And And this is the unveiling of the new CMVR, ladies and gentlemen. The Dealer Association, their presidents are present, auto manufacturers, their presidents are here, component manufacturers and their presidents are with us. So the unveiling of the new CMVR is what we will witness. May I request you to... I think the photographer is going to need lots of photo opportunities there. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the unveiling of the new CMVR. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we must have a resounding round of applause for the unveiling of the new CMVR. A dedication to the entire automotive industry present here. Thank you so much, esteemed dignitaries, for doing the honors. And with that, the inaugural session is not over. Of course, I'm going to, at this juncture, request, before the word of thanks, just request past President, Mr. Kailash Gupta, to kindly join us on stage and help us thank at this juncture Mr. Vadera, Mr. Rajan Vadera, the President of SIAM, with a small token of our appreciation, a small memento to remember. Can we have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Rajan Vadera? Thank you very much, Mr. Gupta, for doing the honors. May I invite Mr. Binod Agarwal to kindly join us on stage. Past President, felicitate the President of ACMA, Mr. Ram Venkat Ramani. Can we have a louder round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Mr. Agarwal very much for doing the honors, and I'd like to invite Mr. Mohan Himmat Singka, past President FADA, to please join us on stage and felicitate the CEO of the Australian Automotive Dealers Association, Mr. James Wortman. Can we have a huge round of applause for Mr. James Wortman? Can we have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? And now, of course, all right. So I'm going to request Mr. Vinkesh, would you do the honors? Mr. Richie Rodrigues, may I invite you on stage, please? And please thank Mr. Patrick Tessier for us at this juncture. Mr. Tessier, may I invite you back on stage, please, to please accept this very small token. Mr. Patrick Tessier, Convention Director, Automotive Dealer Association, Australian Automotive Dealer Association. So, a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Patrick Tessier. Let's have another round of applause once again. Thank you very much to you, and thank you, Mr. Rodrigues, for doing the honors.